Hello, everybody. This is Stu Smith and Jeff Nichols with another Tactical Fitness Report brought to you by military.com. And we're going to talk today about holiday breaks. Usually there's a time at the end of every year where you may get a week or two of leave if you're in the military, or maybe vacation or break if you're still in school. Um, what do you do with those times, especially if you're in the mindset and physically training for, these type of special ops jobs that Jeff and I discuss all the time? So we can make it bud specific, or we can go kind of generic towards all spec ops programs and do it like that. But we're going to come at you from our experiences, not only as bud students, but as active duty SEALs, but also before that, when we were in high school and college, the type of stuff that we did during those type of breaks. So, because
Right.
stress is stress, we're all a little bit different during those journeys. You still feel hormonally the stress of academics and school, and then you got the stress, physical stress, and the tactical educational learning curve stress of your selection program, and then you have the operational stresses that come with the job, and working, taking some time off to work through those stresses and still be able to come back ready to go is the goal. So
Yep.
let's start it off with your journey, as our journey when we were college students and thinking about doing this, in our future.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's, they definitely, you'll see as we have a conversation about these different sort of pauses in training, if you will, or with the different demographics. Cause like in college, for me, not that I wasn't putting, Stu and I weren't putting ourselves in a lot of stress in preparation. It's just different. Right. And you'll see that in a minute. It's a little bit different in conversation. Cause for me, it's like, okay, when I take a break, when I took a break in college because it was a holiday, how did I design, how would how did I schedule my training, and how would I have done it different? That's a question, because people say, hey, how would you have done things differently if you prepared for buds now? Well, big picture, I wouldn't change too much, but what I would have done in training on holidays, I probably would have just, instead of seeing, because my mistake is I was like, oh, I'm going to train harder during the holidays because I have all this freedom. That wasn't the case, because, going from college where I had access to the gym all the time because I had keys at the
Yeah, yeah.
university, I went home for school and it's like, oh, now I have to track some people down to get access to a gym and spend time with family. And then I really actually realized it's like, oh, I'm going to have all this food for Christmas. Well, you really only have these massive feedings a couple times. And it's like, okay, I need to call my mother and go, oh, make sure you have oatmeal and tuna and all these sort of things that I wanted at college. And actually, my training kind of suffered a little bit because I treated it as it was time to throttle up. What I should have done, me personally, what I wish I could have done, I mean, granted, it all worked out great,
Sure.
but this is all to give you guys better advice. What I would have done is, because I have that really good routine at school, that 10 days leading up to break, I would have trained harder. I would have taken like a micro rest, like at 14 days out from break. And then I would have just put the screws to myself for about 10 days leading up. Maybe you have finals and stuff, and those some of the days become like an active recovery day or something. This is for
Sure.
the college student, but
Yep.
I would have trained my ass off up to it, and then use that 10-day break of like, okay, I'm going to do more skill acquisition stuff. I'm going to go to the pool and work on my turns. I'm going to work on maybe go do some Olympic weightlifting over Christmas and work on some technique. That's what I probably would do now. And that's for most college students what I'd recommend to do.
Yeah, I will say this, travel wears you out too, and depending on where you are and where home is, sometimes that's a long flight or a long drive,
Yeah. Or
um,
both.
or both. And yeah, and so you take those into account. One of the last things, one thing I did wrong was I showed back up at training like 6 hours before the day started the next day. We had some
Oof.
delays in travel. I was supposed to be in like 12 hours before, like 6 p.m. that night, but I didn't get in until about midnight, traveling cross country. And then we started second phase buds, and it was just, I was really tired. but you just suck it up and you did it. It was just the way it goes. But in college, I will say this, I was probably mentally burnt out by the end of the semester. So I needed some time off, but I did like Jeff did. And there was only two things to do during the exam period, and that was work out. You got extra time to work out because you didn't have to go to class, and you had to take tests. So work out, study, take tests. Work out, study, take tests. Sleep was a little bit off depending on your study schedule and things like that. So I was probably a little burned out by the time I went home, and that's when I really just relaxed, hung out with friends, hung out with family, ate good food, sat on my butt, watched some football, and just kind of relax. I
Yeah.
found that to be very beneficial no matter what phase I was in, whether I was a student. Now, I will say this, sometimes, you go out with your buddies, everybody's home, and it's real easy to get stupid. One of my big don'ts is recommend you not to go out and do something stupid that can jeopardize your future career. One, get in trouble. Two,
Right.
get so drunk that you're hungover, because here's what happens. When you're hungover, you really don't recover from a hangover for about 48, maybe even 72 hours, if you think about it, because the night that you're drunk, you're not sleeping at all. So you just lost a night of recovery. You're not in, we've already talked about this in a previous podcast about sleeping, and, when you're drunk,
Yep.
you're not recovering, getting an REM. So you lose that night. The next day you feel like crap because you didn't sleep and you're hungover and dehydrated. So you got to fix yourself. And by the time you're actually sleeping again, you could probably start
Yeah, you can
working
count
off
maybe
some of
3 days in, right?
yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're
Essentially
already,
losing.
yeah, you're losing a significant amount of time. That's why a lot of, that's why I recommended, while you're going through training, is that's the last thing you want to do on a Friday, Saturday night when you have the weekends off going through selection is, get hammered, because you're really not going to recover at all from a hard ass week at all. You're just going to miss your recovery cycle,
Right. Yeah,
whatsoever.
completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And so like you'll see, I think one of the common threads, because we kind of talk about what would a break look like for the college student? What might a break look like for someone in the selection process? Like Stu was, I never had a break in training other than a 4-day weekend and 4th of July. Just that was based on the timing of the start and end of my class.
right.
Like some guys had Christmas breaks, some had Thanksgiving breaks, some had other breaks. And then, how does that training look like, for someone that is active duty post-selection? I think it looks more familiar to the college student, those two. But again, really the common thread is that, I believe now for most people, what's most likely, like I like to say, let's train for what's most likely to happen. What's most likely to happen is your eating habit, your sleeping habit, and your training habits will change during a holiday. Those three things, whether they're on purpose or not, they'll change. Even if it's like let's say you don't travel for the holidays, but you want to get more training in. Now, depending on where you're in the selection process, if you're a college student, like I said, gyms won't be open probably unless you have your own gym or something, right? Or schedules have changed. So that's something that the common thread is. It's probably going to be some change. For me, like I said, I didn't have a break during buds. So, which obviously wasn't my design, which I was in hindsight, I was extremely thankful that I didn't have a break.
Right. Yeah.
But I do remember getting to buds, and kind of in my head, I was like, well, I don't know. Like, we don't have any breaks, I don't think, but I knew there was a couple of holidays, and I knew I was at buds when there was a break that was happening with the previous class. I just hadn't classed up yet. So, and then when I left, we graduated in the end of November. So we went into, graduated November 22nd. So from November 22nd to January 3rd, there was nothing. From the time I graduated, I got Thanksgiving break, I got Christmas break, I got New Year's, and I had to be at Fort Benning January 3rd. So I had 42 days off by the time I graduated buds. So it was awesome. Like, I was like, this is great. So I used that time to heal. And so I bring that up because
that's a good point.
I think from my experience, because guys that are prepping for this in college are training so hard, Obviously, guys in the selection process are training extremely hard. And most active duty guys within post pipeline, they're either prepping for deployment, they're coming home and just got back from a deployment. It's in one capacity. They're busy.
Or they're on deployment during Christmas.
Or that, right?
Yeah.
That's about the only time I have ever found where it's like training, well, it didn't get any worse. Like
right.
Because deployment routine, that's a totally different animal.
Yes.
But I guess that my point is this is like, I think that little shift of mindset for athletes is like, I look at it like Major League Baseball. And this is why it's like the All-Star break, people go, well, players must like, do they really want to take a break? They love the game of baseball. Yes, they do. But it's very few opportunities that a position player is going to get a week off to heal mid-season. So even guys, it's like, but pitchers are a little bit different. Those pitchers will still throw. Most of those pitchers will still throw because it's like an active recovery day. They won't throw hard. They'll come off the mound, maybe do some long toss, but they don't break as much, take as breaks. But my point is again, they're utilizing that time for skill acquisition and healing.
There you go.
And what ends up happening is that opportunity to heal is the catalyst for elongating longevity for that particular season. Or in our case, we're talking about that's going to elongate longevity for the phases to come, right?
Yep.
Let's say, you're post-Hell Week. You're still pretty beaten up. But if you can get like 10 days off post-Hell Week,
man, that's huge.
You still want to be active, but that week off, man, is a great opportunity to heal.
Yeah. Well, I will say,
prevent rollbacks for sure.
Yeah, you can definitely lick your wounds, and that's the key here. Jeff made a very good point. Is you're not going to use this time to get in better shape anyway. It's too short of a period, and
it's not too short to heal.
It's not too short to recover, right? And get good night's sleep. Repair damaged tissue, work some joints. Whether you're massaging the joints or foam rolling or stretching, all of those little things that you kind of neglect because you're just so busy, during training, you can really focus on and come back feeling refreshed by number one, sleeping, by number two, eating well, don't eat a lot of crap food. That right there will probably get you 80% of recovery.
Agreed.
The other 20%, you can play around with some workouts, some technique stuff, and stretching and mobility work.
You bet.
Will top you off. But eat well and sleep well. I would be doing
the bare minimum of exerting myself. I'd still be very active, and that's just to kind of like, once you get on that hamster wheel, you just don't want to get off of it. I get that. Like, totally understand. And like, me personally, I had this conversation with my mother. I said to her, and my father, obviously by proxy, heard it through my mother when I was at Bud's. I said, if there's long breaks, I'm not coming home. Even if it was Christmas, I'm not coming home. Like, me personally, that's how I'm geared. I didn't want to get out of that mindset. But I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. I just want to give you my sort of 2 cents to go, okay, like I understand getting on the hamster wheel, not wanting to get off. But there's a difference between like the sprint and the jog, and like I agree with Stu totally. It's the focus is really mobility work. The focus is active recovery. The point of focus, but becomes sleep, dietetics, massage, those things. Like, how do we heal? Treat yourself like you're sick on those off days. And just really get after getting better.
Something a little different. It depends, right? The guys that are coming back and they just happen to be like, I was in second phase. I'd post pool comp, OC8 they call it now. I was post the big long swim, the 6 mile swim.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we had leave after that swim, so we had to swim for like 3.5 hours, and then you could go get on a plane and go fly home. And I did. And so I actually swam my whatever 5 mile ocean swim or 6 mile. I can't remember.
Yeah. 5.5 or
whatever. Yeah. 5.5. There you go. Yeah. So like a 10K ocean swim. Got on a plane and flew all the way to Florida. Right. and cramping up the whole time. And just, I mean, it was
So
miserable.
bad.
It was miserable. And
That
then
would
so
be
I
terrible.
got home, and then my buddies found me at home. They heard I was back, and they came over and grabbed me, and so it was stupid.
That's a
And
long flight too.
yeah,
Holy
and
moly.
then we went to hang out with family. I did get to calm down a little bit, get a good night's sleep, start eating home cooked food. Then I flew up to Maryland to be with my girlfriend, now wife, right? And then hung out there for a couple of days, and then I flew back home, or back
Gotcha.
to
San
Coronado.
Diego.
And so that was when I came back. I was just exhausted, right? And
Oh
I
man.
did a little bit of working out, did a little stretching, did some swimming in Florida, but it was kind of minimal. But at the same time, we were kind of done with most of the hard challenges at Buds,
Yeah.
all the subjective grading
Yeah.
events. I mean, everything else was going to be a lot of fun, and still some
Yeah. With respect,
learning.
with respect to family, and I do mean this. If you, here's a piece of advice I'll offer. If your training is being broken in the middle of the selection process for a holiday beyond a couple days, I would, if it were me, and I did this when I came home from deployments, I said to and if I knew I was going to go see my parents were going to come see me. Really, this is more towards going to see your parents and going home. The last time I visited my parents when I was active duty, I just said, do not tell anyone I'm home.
Yeah.
Like, I will tell the people, certain family members, like if you want to get, like, cause I get it. Family does, I'm close to my family, especially my mother's side, just by proxy or whatever. But I just said, hey, we'll have dinner at the house. Like if they want to come, absolutely. But it's not going to be day 1, 2, or 3 when I get home. I'm going to get home, be a ghost, right? For a couple days, really chill out. Then we'll have like a late lunch, brunch, dinner, and not at night. Like I asked my mom to extend that invitation based on, my like, hey, I don't want to travel. I don't want to drive it all over. I don't want to go see 10 different people. It makes the most sense and respect to me. Truly, like, I guess maybe that's one of the few things I did properly about self-care was like, have them come see us.
Yeah. Good point. Like I said, I was 22 and dumb, and like I said, I was kind of cocky, being almost done with Buds, and
Oh, and you certainly, and that's different too. Like, I guess that so my advice, like, I've done the same stuff. Like, you want to get home, you're still young, and again, this is coming from a 41-year-old's mouth now.
Right.
Like, I just would rather stay home and sleep than go see friends half the time. So let's not mistake the fact that this advice is coming from a 41-year-old man.
Yeah,
not a 23 not a 23-year-old Bud student like I once was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So admittedly,
you know what? In fairness, let's just do this real quick, and then we'll hit the active duty one real quick too. But got guys coming back that are about to start first phase, and it just so times up that their Christmas break is right before first phase. So what do you do? You've made it through boot camp. You've made it through prep. You've kind of deconditioned already through boot camp. You've worked your way up through their Buds prep program, which is very helpful. It's getting people back up to a good standard. Now you got to take a week off.
Yeah.
What do you do there?
Well, my advice, if I'm at Buds, I stay. That's me. Like, now, but again, so we talk about the other side. If you're going to go, well, then your training really is just about, in my opinion, simply put, elevate the heart rate without creating a lot of stress. And Stu already said it. It's not the point to improve your fitness level. It's not. It's a time to maintain through health. Like, that's the one time where it's like, we are I'm purposely using the words health and fitness.
Yeah.
We need to keep you healthy and fit. And how do we do that? Through a maintenance dose.
And not overburn it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't, there's plenty of time in 10 days to detrain by overdoing it.
Oh yeah.
But there's not enough time to improve training by training.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like, what's the best thing is maintain a level of fitness that is not exhaustive, right? Break a sweat, get a pump once a day, take a couple days, that 10-day window, you're going to purposely take 2 or 3 days off,
Yep.
go get a massage, maybe do a float tank, something, go see your chiropractor. Like, treat yourself like you've just been a bull rider, man. Like, get the crap kicked out of you on a pack of a 2,000-pound bull. Like, take care of yourself.
Yeah. Go into day one of Bud's first phase refreshed, ready to go. Cause you're going to get beat down that first week. You're going to lose 25% of your class just because, be durable enough to handle that, and, be well rested. So sleep well, eat well, number one and number two. After that, like Jeff says, a maintenance dose of fitness. Get in there, do some of the workouts that you like.
Body weights, calisthenics, and body weight.
At prep. That you did
Yeah.
at prep. What were some of those things? And also take a look at what you need to be ready for in first phase. It's no secret. You got to swim. Got to swim with fins. Got to run 4-mile timed runs every week. And you got to do some drown proofing and life saving and knot tying. So there's little skills there that you can practice without getting too tired. And practice some of those events and just get.
Yeah, and I agree. Like,
water comfort.
That's like the one place where it's like, if you're going to add a bit of stress because it is cathartic. For me personally, even as a competent swimmer, I would be finning like that.
Yeah.
That for me would be the thing that's like, hey man, like, I get it. Like, I can't turn my brain off. I can't not train pretty hard. Well, where am I going to do that? I'm going to do it in the water.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it in a weight room. I'm certainly not going to do it on a road, like running. Like, I'm going to probably do some finning, right? I'm going to learn. I do believe that you can improve upon your skill in a pool in 10 days by practicing your turns. But then again, it's like, well, at that point, you're past PST.
Yeah.
So really, Stu already hit the nail on the head. It's working on your fin, like getting acclimated to those fins. I think that's a really good option.
Yeah. Like I said, take some of the Bud's prep stuff that you were doing, because I know you're swimming a lot with fins out there. Just move it over. Extend your Bud's prep for another week.
Yep.
I mean, not crazy, because
throttle back a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe not run every day. Run every other day. Do something that opens up your lungs. It could be on a bike. Going
think
home.
low impact, right? Because that's really what it comes down to, folks. In large part is, it's not that you guys don't have the lung capacity. It's not that you don't. What it is have you built your body up to a point to tolerate that necessary abuse? And if you get a break in time prior to the greatest point of abuse, which is first phase, if you can go in there, as Stu said, refreshed, ready to endure what's about to happen, that's the best opportunity that you're going to have. You don't get that opportunity very often. So that's why we're saying, don't think it as a point to train hard. Think of it as a time to heal hard.
Yes. Yeah. That's a good way to sum that one up, especially for the students. Now, for the active duty guy, this leave period can be anywhere during the year. It can be pre-deployment, post-deployment. It can match on a holiday, may not match on a holiday, just depends on deployment cycles. My number one for that one is, job stress and being away from home is tough. Focus family first.
100%.
Eat well.
100%.
Sleep well.
Like, yep. Family first, eat and sleep.
You're going to see things, that maybe you need to talk to some people about. Maybe some family member that might be a veteran that understands, or maybe some friends that might be veterans that understand some of the things that you see over there. That talking is very cathartic, and it can really help you.
Don't miss that opportunity to spend time with your family before those moments where, like, don't pretend that there's not an elephant in the room, especially if you have young children, right? Don't pretend for us. I'm not saying like you're weepy all the time and like expressing that sort of anxiety that can be absorbed by your family. That's not, and I'm not saying weepy in the sense of crying's bad. That's not my point. Pre-deployment is one of those things that it's very odd, because in the forefront of my brain, I was always like, I got to make sure I'm ready. I got to make sure I'm ready if I don't come back. My family is ready. But that's not something I'm dwelling on. And what I mean is, like, what I'm going to do is make sure, one thing I wish I would have done better is, especially as a father, is again, it's make a real point to get loaded out for my deployment quickly as possible, so I could spend as little time as possible at the team, even if I was just home, even if I was just being a dad or a husband, whatever it is. It's like, as strange as it may be, it's like, it's one of those things that, like, you don't want that time to feel like a honeymoon, right? Where you're cramming it in.
Right.
So
Yeah.
make sure you allot time, at least enough time that's available, right? I guess from my experience, your pre-deployment leave shouldn't be 24 hours with your family. It shouldn't be like, oh, I got 1 day left and I'm gonna go take my son to. No, like,
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, it's especially when it comes to training, the weights and gravity will always be there. And I promise you, when you get the Naval Special Warfare or Special Operations Program, there's going to be good weight rooms overseas.
Yep.
It'll be there. And that's why I always used to joke, and that, with respect, obviously, I used to joke all the time that Navy SEAL on deployment standard for sleep, eat, and lift. Because that's like,
Yeah.
it's the one time I think within the SEAL community, from my experience, where it was like, it's the only time I had a real routine.
Yeah.
Like, because when I'm back here, you're constantly going to schools, you're constantly away, this, that. When I'm stuck in one place for between 4 and 6 months, where I know when I'm eating, I know when I'm sleeping, I know when missions are going to happen, I know where the weight room's at. It's just like, everyone comes back from deployment, mostly in the SEAL teams, are like, they look really fit. Why? Because they just spent the last 6 months in a routine.
Yeah.
In the next
Yeah.
18 months in prep of that routine, it's chaos.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So just, guys, I'm telling you right now, spend time with friends and family first and foremost. Make sure you eat, make sure you sleep.
Yeah. I think that's that's the 1, 2, 3 punch right there. You know, it
Yep.
really is.
Everyone wins then. Everyone wins.
Eat, sleep, and family. You know, if you eat well, you sleep well, you're going to be a little bit more recovered, be in a less bad mood. And, you know, people like to have you around when you're, you know, not so stressed out. So.
Exactly. Right. It's, what a great opportunity, right? To be around your family where you're like, no, like, I don't have to be anywhere for 3 days. I've already done all the work to get ready for this deployment. Like,
Yeah.
give yourself that opportunity,
Yeah.
especially if you're in a position of leadership. Do that for your folks.
Yeah.
Like, really, I don't care, like, because we all know, like, I probably would have been that grumpy old guy too. Like, I don't care. I'm at the teams anyway. You're going to stay here too. Like, if you're a leader, set it up for your family, for your guys that you are working with, to get them home with their family for real. Don't just say it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. That's a good point. Very good point. Well, I hope this answers the question. You know, I've had a few people email me and say, hey, we got Christmas leave coming up, and, you know, I'm not sure what to do with my training after, you know, I've had one in Bud's prep. I've had one that was in college getting ready to graduate. And, you know, so it was a variety of different things. So, you know, take advantage of these things. And like Jeff says, it's a maintenance dose of fitness, because you're not going to get in better shape in the week you have out. If you have a month off, different story. You know, you might be able to
You can really work on some things.
be able to work on some things that are some weaknesses. But if you do have time like that, just focus on your weakness, maintain your strengths, and keep rolling, just like
You bet.
any other cycle. All right, Jeff.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, and thanks. And we're actually doing this for military.com today, and you can find it on a corresponding article that is also on the same topic. So that's how we're going to
Fantastic.
do some of this. So everybody, thanks for watching, and we'll be back later.